Okay, House of Payne fans. So it seems we're getting 2 episodes per week now. So next week we'll get episodes 21 and 22. Okay, we'll be wrapping up the season soon, and some people have been telling me that apparently there is going to be no hiatus in the near future. They're just going to keep running episodes. So we'll be going into season 14 the week after next. Okay, whatever. All right, so this is season 13, episode 20, entitled The Incomparable Ella. And this was a pretty good episode. I want to give it a 10 out of 10. I called it. Remember, I did a video not too long ago covering the episode synopsis for episodes 19 through 22. And I said, okay, in episode 20, it talks about Jasmine's reputation being ruined. And I'm like, I can't remember the name of that dude, but remember the guy that tried to cheat off of her? What if he's the one that tries to ruin her reputation? And I was right. This episode, I love the continuity. This was a callback to some major episodes throughout the season. The B plot and Jasmine being related to Jackson copying off of her paper. And then they both got into trouble and she was able to clear her name. We follow up from that. And when it comes to Ella, the storyline with Regina, that's been spread out over the course of like 4 episodes, I think. The initial one where she's introduced, when Ella talks to the deacon, when Ella, is kind of ostracized from the church, and then she's, going out trying to find a new church, and now we're in this episode. So this is pretty good stuff. So before we go into the review, make sure you take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit the notification bell and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. And with that being said, let's jump in. So I'll talk about the Jasmine stuff first. CJ and Janine are proud of Malik because there's a news report of the political party or candidate that he's been supporting. It looks like it's, a pretty close race for the upcoming election, but Malik's candidate is actually doing pretty well, thanks in part to his hard efforts. And from there, Jasmine has some news about how she is in the running for an internship for, I think, the Center for Human Rights or something like that. And 1 out of 4 students are inducted for the, program. And it turns out she has her major selected African American Studies with a minor in sociology. I like this because in the last video I said, why can't she just get a minor in something, like she'll get a degree in one thing, but then a minor in another. And to be completely honest here, I understand Malik asking the question. And look, this is a fair question. Like, what kind of job can you get with that degree? And then I love how Jasmine listed off a number of different programs she can get into. Like, I could be a professor. I could work at human resources of certain jobs, in case there are situations involving, possible racial influence decisions, things like that. Which is kind of interesting given how currently the whole lack of DEI stuff is going on. So it's kind of, would that actually be applicable now? I don't know. But I like the fact that Jasmine, and this goes for any student going into anything, if somebody asked a question like, what kind of job can you get with that? And it's like, well, actually, yeah, I like that. Now, honestly, I really do believe she should have done something. I love the sociology angle. Remember when she wanted to quit to be social media influencer, but then by the end of the episode, she opted to do sociology, like helping people, mainly women who have been, less fortunate in life, basically taking a playbook from Aunt Ella. I think that would fit her best because don't get me wrong, Jasmine can excel in anything she does, because even when she says, I got great news, and like Malik says, what, another A? Well, yeah, I did get another A, but that's not exactly what I'm trying to announce. So, on top of that, I like the fact that not only did she change her major, or I would say she has chosen a major, but, and I'm not saying this negatively about Jasmine because I hope she's found something that she's going to stick with, but how do we know that sometime next season she won't change it to something else? So it looks like she's not going to do the broadcast journalism thing, and she's going to go in another direction. But like I said, I just hope that next season we don't get an episode like 6 episodes from now where it's like, hey, so I was at this seminar on campus and I got inspired to change my major. No, let's just be done with this. So we have Jasmine focusing on African American studies with a minor in sociology. So there's a knock on the door, and Jackson comes in asking if he can talk to Jasmine alone. So, her parents go into the kitchen, and it turns out the aftermath is he's been kicked off the athletic team and he's been suspended from school, but he does have a shot at redemption if someone speaks for him. And I love how CJ and Jeannie are like, oh, so wait. You come over here to get our daughter, the person you cheated off of, and then, wanted to take the fall for you to come and speak on your behalf. Yeah, right. And Jasmine rightfully says no. Now then, not long after, Malik tells Jasmine about how she's a trending topic. Okay, I don't know why. I'm guessing this must be like in a smaller social network. There's no way Jasmine will be trending on Twitter, if because of what Jackson said. So Jackson basically throws her under the bus, smearing her image by claiming that, hey, well, my career at the college's athletic team and whatnot has been ruined because Jasmine snitched on me because she cheated and all. That's really dumb. If anybody believes, and okay, I'm still giving the episode a 10 out of 10, but I think it's kind of dumb of what happens next. So Jasmine is freaking out because she's like, this is ridiculous. This is a lie. And on top of that, I feel like this is going to negatively impact my chances of getting that internship. And just like clockwork, there's a ping on her phone. It's like, wait, I got an email. And Malik's like, wait, is that from the internship? And it's like, yeah, your application. Oh, man. Basically, they suspended your application while they go into an investigation. And Malik's dumbass goes like, oh, they're dropping bars. Like, we froze your application to do an investigation. Malik, oh, I'm sorry. He gave definitely Big Brother energy. But my thing is, what I really loved about this episode is Malik wasn't playing around. It's like, look, I work on a campaign all the time. I know how this goes, how you have to sway the court of public opinion. So I got a plan, and we'll figure out a way in order to turn this thing around for you. So from there, you have CJ and Janine trying to comfort Jasmine because she's going online and seeing all this stuff about her. So I'm guessing it's like a, what do you call it? Like a thread or something, or like a Tumblr, or maybe a subsection on Twitter or a Facebook group where essentially it's like students at the college. I guess, are we to assume that Jasmine and Malik go to the same college? Because if you do, yeah, if they did, there are like Facebook groups and things like that where, students like I went to Liberty. It's like, hey, here's a group for students who are currently at Liberty University, or here's a group for students who have graduated, that kind of thing. And now that Threads is actually a thing, technically I could see her becoming a trending topic. But yeah, it is really stupid because for the academic board or whoever to put her on a pending application, it's like, why would they do that even though she's already proven herself? And it's like, that makes no sense. But then again, this is for a different department, specifically the Center for Human Rights and whatnot. So I guess during the investigation, they would have found out that Jasmine was played. But regardless, she invites Jackson over. It's like, oh, I figured you wanted to talk to me again. And look, simply put, Jackson because Jasmine knows how to say exactly what needs to be said, by basically getting Jackson to incriminate himself by admitting to the fact that he played her. He went online, put up, a message in order to get people to look at things in his favor. So it's like, all this can go away if you just say that you'll support me at the student council meeting and whatnot. And then Malik comes out, reveals he recorded everything, posts the video online. Everybody sees Jackson for who he really is, and then Jasmine gets the good news that her application is back, in good graces, and for taking a moral high ground. Which goes back to earlier in the episode when CJ and Janine are trying to comfort her, and Jasmine wants to do what a lot of people would do in that situation, wants to clap back at people online, but they stop her from doing so. And I love how it's like, when they go low, you go high, but then CJ is like, well, you know what, I can go over, tell me where you live, we can get a little fire going. It's like, wait, it's like, Janine, baby, it's like, we told our little girl to go high, but that doesn't mean I had to go, I can't go low. So I love how the parents ride for her. But yeah, that really is a good thing to take note of, because this was years ago, but I remember my sister and I were just talking randomly, and she's like, hey, did you see that Cardi B was trending for this, that, and the third? And I'm like, Yeah, but that's the thing. I get her anger, and like I don't know much about Cardi B, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But I think it's pretty obvious that she's the kind of person. Whenever she has an issue with anyone, and I mean anyone on the internet, she will, clap back or do a video or something. Someone who doesn't really take negativity that well. And I told my sister, I'm like, I get what she did it, but like obviously my little quote unquote internet fame is nothing like a Cardi B or anybody on that level. But I deal with flack from time to time. Sometimes I choose to engage in back and forth banter. Other times I don't, just because of the fact that when you're at a certain level, and like I said, I'm not at a certain level. I'm talking about Cardi B or people in that, range of popularity and fame. When you get to a certain point, you cannot engage in back and forth debates with people online, because more often than not, that benefits that person more than you. Simply put, because they'll see that, hey, this famous person is beefing with this random nobody, and then they'll get a lot of traction on their page. And then other times you might say something or do something that makes you look incredibly awful, and that hurts your brand as well. So it stands to reason that if Jasmine decided to, clap back at people online trying to clown her and whatnot, that might have, messed up her chances. Like, hey, even though you proved Jackson was the person that played you and lied, you still went after people and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just weird how that works. But yeah, I did love this subplot of the episode. But in terms of the main plot here, Ella's social club, the Incomparable Crowns, they were having a social club meeting at, Ella and Curtis's backyard. And they have the current queen stepping down after her 4-year tenure. And there's an election coming up. And Ella wins it, of course. So Regina shows up. Well, actually, before the election, Glow asked if Regina was coming out. I was like, oh, I don't know. It's like, I haven't heard from her. But then she shows up battered and bruised. And well, I mean, like, she's very battered and bruised up. I'm like, holy crap. I'm surprised she even left the house, to be completely honest with you. Because it was Bobby and she doesn't want to talk about it. Curtis tries to go to confront him, even though we really don't see a follow-up from that. So, she asked to stay with Curtis and Ella for a day or two, until Bobby calms down. Because apparently he didn't want her to go to this social club meeting. And he, didn't care that she expressed how important this was to her. And that's pretty wild. So the next day, she's looking a bit better. And Curtis goes to do some inventory on the food truck. And, several of the girls come over for another meeting. And they discuss that Ella's coronation is happening soon to induct her as the new queen. So then Bobby shows up out of nowhere. I'm kind of surprised. He's a bit younger than I thought he'd be. I mean, don't get me wrong, the dude who played him, he did a heck of a role playing a menacing figure. But in terms of him being a deacon and whatnot, his hairstyle didn't really necessarily display, hey, he's like a respected, deacon at the church. That's just my takeaway from it. He definitely gave off Tyler Perry play villain as opposed to, someone from House of Payne. But that's just my 2 cents. Well, hey, like I said, the guy who played him, great role with the intimidating voice and presence. So, he shows up to take Regina away, but then you got Glow and Ella stepping to him, and so is the other ladies. And this, I think what really set this guy up as a great persona for the character of Bobby, he opts to like spit scripture in Ella's face in terms of utilizing scripture to justify a subservient wife, yet it doesn't necessarily excuse the way he has treated her. Like literally, there is no scripture you could use to justify how badly you beat your wife because she wanted to go to a social club meeting. This, like, you gave her the Chris Brown Rihanna treatment and it was completely uncalled for. So after their battle of scriptures, Bobby tried to get a little physical, like he was about to reach over and grab Regina, but then Ella and the ladies started wailing on him. Next thing you know, the cops drag him away, and Curtis like, baby, what happened? And then, they pretty much talk about how, they shut it down, and Bobby, he's gone, and Glow's going to help Regina find a divorce lawyer and whatnot, and everything's going to work out there. So that's pretty good. Now, if I were to say one thing negative, it had to do with the storyline about the church. But here's the thing with that. I'm not going to deduct a point because I'm like, well, yeah, Regina's saved, but what does this mean for like Ella at the church? Like, why wasn't that brought up whatsoever? Because remember, the reason that Ella was getting funny looks at the church and had to sit at the back was due to the fact that she brought the whole abuse thing to one of the other deacons, And then that deacon like dismissed Ella, thinking that she was like lying or something like that. And then from there, she went to church, and Regina didn't stand up. Like, it was like there was a meeting between like the pastor, Regina, Bobby, and then the deacon that she called over to talk with about Bobby's behavior. And Regina lied and didn't say anything was going on. So basically, it made Ella look like a liar and a gossip. So then she got a lot of backlash from the church. And that's why she started looking for other churches several episodes ago. But now that Regina and Bobby's toxic marriage, abusive marriage has been revealed, what does that mean for Ella and her future at the church? I'm not going to hold you. If I were Ella, I wouldn't even bother with it. I get it. That's been her home church. She's done as much for that church as the Lord has done for her, and the Payne family in general. But seeing how quickly the tides changed against her at the church due to a few rumors and gossip when she was just trying to do the right thing, I wouldn't think that would be the place for me anymore. And even before the gossip and all that stuff, she did tell Curtis, like, the way they're advancing things, like, talking about getting these huge monitors and like kind of modernizing the church, it really didn't feel like the place for her. So yeah, if I were Ella, I wouldn't even want to bother going back. So based on the episode synopsis, I don't know if we're going to revisit this storyline until season 14, but I just wanted to point out, I wonder if the events of this episode will actually play out later on in terms of Ella's journey for a new church home. But like I said, I wouldn't even go back to the old church. Like, no, it's like, if something like this happened and you didn't believe me the first time, who's to say if something like this doesn't happen again, So I really feel like Ella's word, kind of like with Jasmine, her word should have been more, it should have held more weight than people quickly, like in Jasmine's case, dismissing her application, or in Ella's case, treating her a certain kind of way at the church. But hey, that's just me. Like and subscribe. That's pretty much all I have to say about the episode. It was pretty solid, and I will catch you all in the next video.